Ever wondered how those incredible contortionists and acrobats you've seen on TV or at the circus can do their fantastic poses, or how yogis can move their bodies in a way that you never thought was possible and how they feel? Ever wanted to be able to do it yourself? Here's the chance. It might take time, blood, sweat, and tears, but you will get there with the exercises you'll find here if you just give it some time every day. The exercises used in contortion, and yoga as well, is used by various circus artists, dancers, gymnasts, and many others. It is a wonderful feeling to be able to move the body without any limitations, and the goal with this page is to show you how to do it, and most important, how to get there. Having practiced myself as well as trained others, me and my CO authors have noticed that much of this is kept almost like a trade secret and believe it shouldn't be. Another reason is that there are many schools, more or less experimental, that also should be mentioned, as they can have the effect that you search for, but can't find. There can also be the situation where you don't have a coach or school in your area. In the process of writing and publishing previous versions of this handbook, me and my CO authors have received numerous of mails from all parts of the world. We want to share that experience as well, as it might be of use for you in your training. So one of the most important reasons that this handbook is published is simply, we don't want the knowledge to be lost. It should be available everywhere. To tell the truth, exercising to improve your strength and flexibility the way contortionists, dancers, gymnasts, and many others do isn't as difficult as it seems, nor is it dangerous, as some may believe when they see it. A common question is if it hurts, and for example, if a dislocation of a joint hurts or has permanent side effects. The answer to that is simple: it doesn't hurt, and there are no negative permanent side effects. It is uncomfortable in the beginning, but you feel the discomfort lesser for each time you do the exercises, and sometimes even each time you repeat an exercise while you carry out the schedule. The more you exercise, the more pleasant it feels. Any position you will see feels natural and will feel the same to you if you follow the instructions and give it some time. Just to give an example, I can tell you how it feels to dislocate the shoulder in a proper way when you are used to it. First you feel something like a crack or click, and then you can feel the joint slide out of the socket. The feeling is amazing, because everything happens inside you and it's like a tickling sensation. It doesn't hurt for a second. Instead it feels like the bones inside were swimming around in a mass of jelly. That is probably the best description. Does it sound terrible? I hope it doesn't, because it isn't. Practice will give you exactly that feeling, a body that is able to move in any way you wish, a great portion of satisfaction, and as a bonus you'll stay healthy. So as you can understand, this can be a natural way of living, and I hope it will be for you too. A back bend, or even back fold, that might look impossible or even freaky to you will in time feel like any natural move and be very enjoyable to do. Just observe any member of the animal kingdom. Every animal exercises every day, and they instinctively know that the secret of a long and healthy life is a flexible spine. Any part of the body that is not continually used will eventually cease to function. Most people don't stretch, do yoga or contort, and maybe there's the key to why many have trouble with their spines and other health issues connected to bad posture and an unhealthy and poorly trained spine. Anyone, including you, can become good if you only take your time and believe that you will get there one day, because it's much about believing and giving it time. For some it will take no time at all, but some will have to struggle a little bit, maybe because you've lost some of your flexibility because of age. Something that is recommended is to stretch daily for around a month before you start doing these exercises. Easier yoga asanas like the sun breathing are recommended warmly, since it will give you the basic flexibility and strength needed to do the exercises without struggling too much, but normal stretching is enough. Also, it's worth mentioning that yoga is very similar to contortion. There are many benefits with doing contortion. Some of the most important are that you probably will be one of those that won't suffer of osteoarthritis when you get old. Amongst people who are not practicing activities like yoga or contortion, only 1 in 50 will escape some form of rheumatic or arthritic complaint in their lifetime. That when you get old you will most likely look much younger than most people in your age. That medical surveys show that contortionists and yogis not only has a great resistance to everyday complaints, pain and disease, but their general health is excellent and they live considerably longer than folks in any other professions. That if you suffer from hypermobility or other health issues like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a disorder of the connective tissue, you will most likely get results much quicker than a healthy person, but at the same time feel less of the symptoms. If you or other members of your family have suffered from one or many dislocations, you are most likely having similar health issues and should learn to do controlled dislocations and fully master the exercise schedule. How people are built also decides how far it's possible to go or how much, but most can do all of the exercises. Many times it only means that it will take longer to learn to do some things while others come easily. Most important is to practice daily. For me, practicing yoga and contortion sport has meant stopping the progress of EDS completely with all of its symptoms. That your strength will improve. That your endurance will improve. That your pain threshold will improve remarkably. That your range of movement will improve dramatically. That your memory and concentration will improve. That this is the most natural and inexpensive way of exercising that exists. It won't cost you a penny. All you need is yourself, some space in your furniture. That this natural and inexpensive way of exercising can get you quite wealthy, as a good contortionist usually earns 60,000 euros a year and a contortion model earns euro 1,000 plus per shot. Good contortionists are attractive on the market and therefore earn quite well. Very often ex-contortionists continue their careers becoming contortion coaches or start their own schools and earn quite well from this. That if you practice together with your partner, it will most likely make you much closer to each other. That it increases and improves the sex life remarkably. That you can do almost anything while practicing, like watching TV, reading books, surf the web, or even wash the dishes while practicing a position. The reason is very often that they enjoy doing yoga or contortion very much once they manage the first exercises, or, if you prefer to use the yoga vocabulary, asanas. That many asanas/poses produce very intense sensations that can be comparable to those in sexual life. You will be addicted at once or very soon. Who can practice? Anyone that is serious, willing to put enough time and has patience. Some say that any over the age of 25 years shouldn't start contorting. Others refuse to train men, because they considered as good as women. Or maybe the coach doesn't like to train men due to other issues not needed to be mentioned here. Let's kill those myths. There are men that are 55 years old and can do many of the poses and exercises on these pages, and the only difference between a man starting in the middle age and, for example, a 20-year-old woman that has started in her childhood is that it takes him longer time to be successful with the same things she is in short time. What types of contortionists are there? Either a contortionist is or a front bender or a back bender, and all the facets of the act are built on these movements and the ability to hyperextend or hyperflex the spine. The front bender is many times the funny man, as he can take up ludicrous positions and perform amusing feats like placing the feet around the neck while standing on one hand. This doesn't mean that men can't be good back benders. There are men that can do better back bends than any woman, and to know whether you're one of them, the only way to find out is to do the exercises and in time see. In contrast to the front bender, the back bender or posturer has a more serious act. It's often a woman, but as I said, it doesn't have to be like that. The back bender performs specialty acts or incorporates the abilities into a graceful dance routine. To get back to the question who can do this, the answer is, as you can see, anyone. What makes the difference is that to be good you have to practice daily, and the more the better. One day of inactivity will result in a marked stiffening of the joints. However, this is something that happens in any type of activity. Practicing is the key to being good, and avoiding cigarettes, alcohol, and other poisons. So why not begin? You don't know what you've been missing. How much practice do I need? First of all, let me point out that this is very individual and also depends on what goals you set. A contortionist can practice for around 3 hours daily or even more. Don't get scared of this. You decide the amount of training and who said that you want to be a contortionist. Even if you want to practice for 3 hours, it can be 1 hour in the morning, 1 during the day and 1 in the evening before going to bed. As you can see, a good way can be to divide up the exercising so that you do them during the day. For example, a set of exercises in the morning, while having lunch, after getting home and before going to bed, and different exercises in the different blocks. The alternative with dividing up the practicing will help you to keep the maximum possible suppleness. You'll soon find out that you can do many of the exercises while doing something else, like when watching TV, reading a book, or even chatting on the internet, and that you'll be comfortable and enjoy doing it at all times. As with everything, the more you do it the better, and then why not combining it with other things you have to do? It will definitely make the practicing much more interesting, so don't be afraid of having fun. If you have done all the exercises and feel that you have more time, then try to do them over again. You will be amazed over how much easier it will be. Repeats are the secret to become and stay real supple. You also build strength in the muscles this way. But again, as I said before, your set goals also have a lot to say, and it can be well enough with an hour daily to increase the overall flexibility, even if it won't make you a contortionist. Most likely you'll end up practicing for more, because you'll enjoy it very much. However, it's important to point out that you should do the exercises daily if you want any results, even if you only do that hour each day, and around 1 hour is what you should begin with. Remember that losing 1 day of exercising means that it can take up to 1 week to reach the same level of flexibility. The same as if you miss out a week's exercises. It can take a month to reach the same level. So if you can't set aside some time each day to exercise, don't start practicing at all, and miss the best experience of your life. No matter who you are, if you only do what's told in the instructions, you will be able to do most or everything shown, and you will be hooked in no time. Already after 1 week you will see results and be amazed. The most interesting thing you will find out quick is that your brain won't understand what's happening. Never underestimate the strength of the mind. If you close your eyes and do a back bend or split, or which position you want to do, you'll be amazed and pleased over that you can do it so well, and maybe how deep it is the second you open your eyes. That gives an extreme rush and is one reason why most get addicted. Only this feeling is something making it worth to try. Depending on if the exercises are carried out according to the instructions, your age, suppleness/stiffness, and if you train daily, it's estimated to take around 3 to 12 months for you to be able to place your feet on either side of your head, from a prone position, but of course the younger you are when you start, the easier it will be. Some about food. Someone once said that eating is believing, and it maybe sounds silly, but it's the truth. There are as many recommendations on what to eat as ways to train. Some say become a vegetarian, but I don't agree. You can continue to eat meat, but not as much as before, and avoid fat as much as possible. That means continue eating what you ate before, but in normal proportions and with a little bit more awareness of what you eat. Listen to your body, and most important of all, eat healthy. If your body asks for fruits, eat fruits, and so on. You'll also soon find out that you'll quite automatically change your habits. Something I recommend is to eat fruits, hazelnuts, and a cup of tea for breakfast. For lunch, eggs and some fruits, and to dinner always something cooked like meat or fish, root crops/fruits and some fruits. You can use all kinds of spices, but try to avoid salt as much as possible. This will be difficult in the beginning, but after some time you won't want salt to any kind of food, because it will taste awful. Except for that, eat berries, seafood, and honey. Also try not to eat for 1 to 2 hours before you exercise. Doing a back bend or a front bend with a full stomach isn't recommended and can result in you throwing up. Also try not to drink alcohol and absolutely never smoke. If you start to train and drink alcohol, even if not a big amount, or smoke just 1 cigarette, you will feel that your training will feel more difficult, and you will maybe not have the same range of movement the next day. The result of this will be that you'll lose weight to what was your teenager average weight. The blood pressure will get lower, and the same with the cholesterol. You will feel much better, think much better, and it's much easier to practice. The eating habits above remind much of what different yoga books recommend, and contortion is very similar to yoga. The same food was also eaten by people in the Stone Age as well as today by the people on the island of Kinnable, where the living conditions are similar to the ones in the Stone Age. Many times the people there are very strong, flexible, and your average day heart disease doesn't exist there. The difference to what I mentioned above, except for the alcohol, is that they also avoid sugar, milk, or cheese. However, in the end you decide what to eat and drink, and these were only some healthy thoughts and recommendations to help you on the way. One thing is important though, don't eat more than now and not too much. The exercises will make you hungry, but that doesn't mean you need to eat more. Clothing and environment. There are many different clothes to wear while practicing, but the rule, depending on where you are, is the less the better. To wear loose-fitting attire is often recommended, but unitards or catsuits are much better and work very well both for men and women. Most dancers, contortionists, and gymnasts wear them, and they give many benefits compared to other clothes when fitted perfectly to your body. They aren't restricting, but more like a second skin, and that is very important, because nothing then will disturb you in your practicing or make moves difficult or sometimes even impossible. It's important that the unitard is fitted perfectly to your body. They keep all of you warm if they don't breathe too much. Latex and PVC are excellent materials for this purpose, something that numerous males confirm. The downside is that you sweat a lot, but you still stay warm and don't risk any injury. They will let you slide into the different positions, which sometimes is necessary, compared to loose-fitting attire or bikinis. Especially if the unitard, or catsuit, is made in latex or PVC, it will make practicing back bends, different splits and oversplits much easier, because there is nothing stopping you. Also, working with the contortion bar and all other bars is made much simpler using a PVC catsuit. If a PVC or latex catsuit isn't available where you live, other materials can do too, but it's important that they are slippery and tight-fitting. Before buying, if possible, feel the material. The more slippery the better. If possible, of the same reasons, it's good if the feet are covered by the catsuit. Jazz pants in a top, shorts, bikinis, and similar, can also be good, but they need to be tight-fitting, and if you use such attire, the place where you exercise must be well heated. Again, it's important that your clothes don't disturb you in the exercises or restrict your movement in any way. As this handbook isn't written for new beginners only, but also for professionals, it's worth pointing out that your clothes also give a great impression and can lift the act to a different level while performing. Many times catsuits with metal or wet looks can be the excellent choice, as they don't restrict the movement, but also help the audience to see you better if the lighting is poor or you want to use various kinds of effects. Also, they are cheap. In a circus tent or out in the open, it can be worth not to forget that you need to be warm. It's better to be warm and sweat than freeze and risk injury due to that. The well effects of the warm-up wear off. When it comes to footwear, you should also invest in point shoes or other shoes, as pointing your feet as many exercises are more effective when done end point. Many dancers, gymnasts, and professionals heartily recommend those made by KCO. You'll find more information about it in the other leg exercises page. There has been quite many mails from ballet dancers recommending prolonged daily wear of ballet boots while not dancing or exercising in order to train balance, the feet's flexibility and strength, and to be able to stay end point for as long as needed. It may be true. See more about that in the ballet boots page. However, if you're to wear this type of apparel on a daily basis, always remember to stretch the feet, to do the point exercises, among those the ballet positions. This has to be done daily in order to allow the feet to keep their strength and flexibility. Otherwise, prolonged wear, more than 5 to 6 hours a day, may damage your feet. Something that also has been mentioned in emails from Germany, the Netherlands, and, to my surprise, Russia are the positive effects of combining contortion and rather extreme tight lacing/corsetry. I have received descriptions, pictures, and videos from professionals using this method, lacing their waist as much as 25 centimeters 24/7, except for toilet needs, exercising, and performance. The exercises they do are the advanced ones from the schedule, and according to what I can see, the contortion training makes it easier for them to tight lace rather extremely, as well as the tight lacing helps them to get more limber faster, and most have been able to fold their backs a little bit over a year after beginning. One of the reasons can be that the corset simulates the effect to the body of a deep back bend or a back fold where the organs are very much compressed and displaced and the ability to breathe deeply is reduced. The corset wearer's bodies has adapted to this due to the constriction and therefore the positions involving back bends are much easier to do than normally. As some corsets, so-called pipe stems, lengthen the spine, this also makes it easier to bend it in all directions. I haven't seen any documentation on this before, so I keep this open for discussion. Also the environment in the room can be important. Never have a cool temperature in the room, less than 18 degrees C, while exercising. It's obvious since it's very important to keep the well effects of the warm-up while exercising. Of course it's easier to breathe and not to need to sweat while doing exercises in a cold room, but you risk injuring yourself as the well effects of the warm-up wear off very quickly. Again, I would like to point out that you always should remember to be warmed up before performing, and if your performance is to last longer periods, always be properly clothed. How to follow the exercise schedule. Initially, before stretching out, there are some things you should do if you want to get good results from the exercises, and most important of all, don't want to injure yourself. Always do warm up before you start to do some serious stretching. This is very important, no matter whether you can sit on your shoulders, do the best oversplits in the world or are a new beginner. A good warm up can be any activity that will make your blood circulate, like running around a little bit, maybe in stairs, and then first doing the exercises lightly stretching to where you can get without feeling that the muscles get tense. This means no real stretching, but during several repeats you go to the most flexible position where you feel comfortable, but not further. Many recommend doing the yoga sun breathing rapidly repeatedly until you are warm. The warm-up promotes circulation, respiration, and general loosening of joint bindings. Any athlete, dancer, gymnast, or contortionist injure themselves if they don't warm up, no matter how good they are. Without warming up you will most likely get hurt. Another thing worth to remember is that many things that you do during the day can be done in a flexible way. Why not bend forward with legs straight when you are going to tie your shoelaces, or maybe chat, read books or watch TV while in a split, oversplit, or back bend, back fold when you get there. You will feel very healthy of this, and at the same time you will prevent any loss of flexibility during the day. This will also make you more ready for the more serious exercises. However, don't forget to stay warmed up. If you are not flexible at all before you begin using these exercises, I would recommend to do some easy stretching exercises or regular yoga asanas for a month. Some basic flexibility won't hurt, and it will be much easier to do even the easiest exercise. If you aren't strong in your back, you will also need to strengthen it, so you can return to an upright position after a back bend. One way is to lie on your back on the top of a gym course, couch, or bed with someone sitting on your lower legs, with your upper body overhanging the edge and bending back down and then up again. Another way is to lie across two soft chairs supported by your shoulders and hips and flex your back. Both these exercises will need someone to assist you initially. Post warm up. After warming up, you are ready to do some serious stretching. The exercises are built up like a very easy looking program where the level increases with the number of the exercises. Do all exercises till you reach the most advanced exercises you can do for each group of muscles. You will feel which exercises that correspond to which muscle group. If you want to do all the exercises, this will take approximately 3 hours. As you advance, you can skip some of the easier preparing exercises, but always ask us, or if you have one, your coach. Instead, such exercises can be used as a part of your warm-up. If you are a newbie, don't do more advanced exercises than you can handle. Do the exercises you are good at and those that are difficult, but that you still can manage to some extent. They are supposed to be a challenge and will help you improve. That's the way you get results. On the other hand, if you go too fast and do exercises that are far too difficult for you to handle, you might end up injuring yourself. The exercises are set so that the easiest come first, and then the level of advancement increases the further you go. Always begin from the first exercise and work towards the more advanced. When you've succeeded with the exercise you are doing, then move along to the next exercise. Continuing like that, in time you will be able to do all of them, and then it's good to do as many of them as possible. After each session, write down which exercises you've done in a notebook. This way you'll know what you've done the day before, but you'll also be able to see how you're advancing. The way to see whether you shouldn't do an exercise is that it's too difficult to do. Then don't do it yet, but do it when you're ready for it. Yes, I'm repeating myself, but this is very important and I don't want you to injure yourself. The pictures are to show how the exercises are to be done, but also to show how it will look when maximum flexibility in the exercise is reached. Don't worry if you can't do them as good as the persons in the pictures. Instead, use the most advanced pictures to set your goal. You will get there sooner than you think. Do not jerky actions. Try to stretch out as much as you can without getting hurt or being uncomfortable. Don't forget that with the exercises you are to achieve the maximum flexibility by stretching out as much as possible, so don't give up. You will get further sooner than you expect. The 1-2-3-4-5 is a progressive stretch, a little bit at each count. Then stay there counting 1-2-3-4-5, or if you are comfortable until you feel the muscle being strained. Then release only a few degrees to a resting position where it feels more comfortable, or if instructed, to an initial position, and continue the stretch from where you were at the count of 5 the last time, but trying to get a bit further while counting 1-2-3-4-5. In the last repeat, try to stay as long as possible in the position. Each repeat is a count of 1-2-3-4-5. If you are lucky enough to have an assistant to stretch you, of course always after warming up, relax while your assistant stretches you out until it's not possible to go further. Do not try to counteract. Unless otherwise instructed, do the assisted stretches the same way as if you were without an assistant, with the difference that the assistant will hold you longer in the finishing position at the count of 5. In the beginning, when doing an exercise, assisted or not, or if you have been able to stretch further than you've been able to do before, it can hurt while in the position. This is normal and will only last for around a week or 2. Then you can continue further, and after you reached your maximum flexibility, you won't feel any pain at all when you stretch out, and you will be able to stay in any position for as long as you want without any discomfort. Don't overdo any exercise until you feel that you are in a so advanced level that you can master it perfectly and see or feel that you've achieved what is shown on the pictures. Let your own body set the limits, and instead of overdoing, do many repeats. Repeats are the key. 10 to 25 repeats are usually the best depending on your age, gender, flexibility, etc. The number of repeats in this case is a recommendation. If it should be carried out 20 times and you carried it out 40 times, it doesn't mean that you will get twice the flexibility, and if you carry it out 60 times you may find that your muscles are stiffening up again. Try to keep the repeats on a level that feels good. The amount of repeats are only a recommendation. You will find very quickly which amount of repeats is the best for you, but don't do less than 10 repeats. Remember that if you're impatient and force your body, you will only strain something and have to wait until you heal, before you can start again. The only situation where overstretching is allowed is when doing assisted stretches, since you are to be completely relaxed and the assistant is doing the stretching for you. Always follow the instructions carefully and religiously, and never give up. In time you will be able to do the exercise. Not all are able to do all the exercises at once, and the difference in how long it takes for succeeding in an exercise or position is different for everyone. It can take days for some, while others need months. Some quickly gets flexible in their back and at the same time hits the wall when it comes to the splits. Others manage the splits, but has difficulties with doing back bends. Don't let that stop you. Do more exercises in the tough part of the body instead. It will give results in the longer run. This difference is also often noticed between men and women, so don't give up. Take your time and you won't hurt yourself. Everyone is able to do this if they exercise properly and do each exercise until it feels comfortable. Have patience. If you have time, feel free to repeat the schedule. I think you will very soon. That is one of the keys to success. You should notice an increase in your flexibility and strength towards the end of your exercise period. After doing the stretching exercises, it can be good to do the stretches, but only with one repeat, the same way as you did in the warm-up. This way you can convince yourself and, most important, your mind what your real flexibility is, and this will help you the next time when you stretch out. Those 5 minutes doing this are as important as the whole exercise. What the brain believes and what's really happening are two different things. Also, it's good to have someone watching you while you exercise, not only to make certain you carry them out correctly, but to ensure your back bends are carried out by the whole spine and not just between two vertebrae. Particular care should be taken in the area of the lower back. Finally, when you do back bend exercises, always do front bend exercises afterwards. If you can't have someone watching you while you exercise, see if you can record it on video. That way you can check your progress as well as correct any errors, but show us if necessary. Assisted stretching. If you have difficulty getting into the position or to keep the stretch, you always should have someone to assist you. It's the best way to get the best results, and most athletes, dancers, gymnasts, and other professionals have their coaches to assist them in their stretching. One of the assistant's most important functions is to keep you in the position, since otherwise you will most likely go out of the position or stretch far too early. The assistant should push you firmly, and if you are advanced, very firmly into the position and then hold you in it for at least 30 seconds, then release so that there's no stretch for a short time, again repeating, giving it a little bit more stretch than the last time, as many times as mentioned in the exercise schedule or more, until the muscles can't be stretched more. For each repeat, the time the assistant holds you should increase with a few seconds. You must stay completely relaxed at all times. The second most important function of the assistant is to see that you don't get out of the position. In the beginning, this method can be quite uncomfortable and even very painful depending on your pain threshold, but no pain gain. The secret is not to give up, and you will soon find that you prefer to be assisted than stretching by yourself. Assisted stretches always give far better results than if you try to do it yourself, but this is of course your and the coach's prerogative to choose which method to use. As forces included, the trust towards the assistant is of greatest importance. The pictures above are of a contortion student being stretched into a 270-degree oversplit. All repeats were carried out, with the resting around 10 degrees less from the last repeats, on both legs, from sitting in a regular split to the 270 degrees oversplit. As you can see, her first attempts weren't comfortable, as you can see, but today she can sit comfortably in an oversplit for longer periods, having the rear leg horizontally on the floor and the front leg vertically on the wall, and then change doing the same with the other legs without standing up. It took her 2 months doing this daily to achieve this position, and 6 more to be able to sit in the position for as much as 1 hour comfortably. Another example is this rhythmic gymnast. Her oversplits are amazing, up to 300 degrees, and she can apparently, according to her coach, stay in them without any time limits at all. The secret is that she has been assisted in her stretches on a daily basis from the very first beginning, when she started doing gymnastics. Another example is Helena. She only uses assisted stretches, and you can judge from the result yourself. The picture to the right is her back bend, which she reached after over 1 year. Normally it takes at least the double amount of time to accomplish a back fold like this, no matter what age you are, and then you normally won't get that good without being assisted. As I mentioned before, assisted stretches are very uncomfortable in the beginning, but your pain threshold and especially your endurance will improve much faster than you think, and this makes it much easier than you think from seeing the picture above. The assistant is helping you with what you normally wouldn't stand, holding you in a position you wouldn't stand, because of lack of endurance or of too much initial pain or discomfort. This, however, changes very rapidly to helping you reaching a certain position that you wouldn't be able to reach without any help, even if you are comfortable doing it. The explanation is simple. For most, the initial reaching of a certain level of flexibility assisted is most uncomfortable or even unbearable the first 2 weeks to the first 2 months, depending on how far you go and depending on how flexible you are in the beginning, but it gets less and less uncomfortable the longer time you practice, and after that amount of time you should feel comfortable in the position and instead work on staying as longer and longer in the position and getting deeper and deeper into it and still feeling comfortable. That's also the reason why most professionals like acrobats, dancers, contortionists, and gymnasts prefer assisted stretches. You always should have a 20% flexibility reserve when you are to perform in order to always being comfortable while working. Every professional knows this. Also, assisted stretching is the most efficient way to extreme flexibility, and it goes much faster than any other mean of stretching. Professionals know that too, and most important, you can stay relaxed during all of the stretch, and then it also gets comfortable. Also, your pain threshold will change the more you do assisted stretches, making it possible for you to advance much more and faster than in the beginning. If you train together with a partner of a different gender, and you wish to be at the same level at all times, do assisted stretches. If it's a male partner, assisted should be used. In this case, hold the stretches longer and to the same level as the female partner. Persons with hypermobility, hence with natural flexibility, should do assisted stretches as much as possible. This decreases the symptoms of hypermobility. If assisted stretches are done as described, they are a very good and effective alternative for achieving suppleness much faster. Every exercise can be done assisted, and in most you'll find notes suggesting how this can be done, but don't be afraid to experiment. It's not dangerous if you and your assistant know your limits and you trust each other. Also, feel free to ask us. You will get there sooner than you think. you.